Hey now, welcome to episode 55 of the Batman on Film blog. I am going to take my glasses off because I'm not reading anything right now.
These things are almost as old as you.
What things?
These vlogs.
Yes, that's true. I'll be 55 next year.
Next year, which is in
Look how awesome 55 can be for people.
5 weeks.
Should be an inspiration to everyone out there, including you, Rick. How awesome I am at 55 or 54. I'll be more awesome at 55 than I am now. All right.
On.
Episode 55 of the Batman on Film blog. I wonder how many hours of this 55. I mean, it's got to be significant amount of hours we've done with these things. But anyway, of course, you see him there. Rick Shue is in the house. Hello, Rick.
Hey, Bill.
How are you? Good? Okay.
Well, doing well. Thank you.
You're just doing well? You're not good?
I'm fan frickin' tastic.
Okay.
I'm gonna go see Knives Out tonight with my wife. Kids are gonna be sleeping with friends and in-laws. I'm gonna go through Rian Johnson some love. How's that?
All right.
How's that? How's
right.
that, Last Jedi haters? All right, moving on.
Sounds good. All right. So, real quick, since last time we talked, the Batman, we have a new addition to the cast, official new addition to the cast. He will be playing this actor I like quite a bit, Rick. He was, my first thought is from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's not George Clooney. And I'll let you announce that in just a second. But he will be playing Carmine Falcone, or Falcone. When you read Year One and Long Halloween, how did you pronounce that last name in your head?
It's hard to say.
Falcone.
Yeah, I think I said. I'm pretty sure I said Falcone, but it was really when Batman Begins came out that I had it really in my head. You know what I mean?
I've actually known people with that last name, and they pronounced it both ways. I've had
Falcone
and Falcone.
And Falcone?
Yes.
It's hard to say, man. I think I said Falcone. I feel like I did. I feel like it just kind of flowed.
I think when I was reading before Batman Begins, years before that, I said Falcone. Very Texan and American type of pronunciation of that. And then ever since Batman Begins, it's been Falcone. So
Falcone.
And I've actually, for real, known people with that last name, and they've pronounced it both ways. So
interesting. Okay.
Anyway, so who is the actor, Rick? I'll let you announce that.
It's Jesus.
It is not Jesus Marimba.
It's Jesus, man. The Big Lebowski.
Yes. That's another one. Yeah. What a great character actor.
He's a great character actor. He really is. So we got some stuff to talk about, Bill.
Yes. Are you stumping on his name right now?
Oh, you waiting for his name? Oh,
I don't.
Honestly, I don't. What is his name?
I was going to let you announce it.
I'm terrible with names. What is his name?
It's Jeffrey Lyons.
Jeffrey Lyons, right.
Jeffrey Lyons, yes.
Jeffrey Lyons.
John Turturro, Rick.
John Turturro, there you go.
John Turturro is playing Carmine Falcone, or Falcone, however you want to pronounce it. It'll be interesting to see how they do it in the Batman. If they do it different, if they say Falcone to be different from Batman Begins.
And I know the guy's done a lot of character work. I'm not real familiar with his work other than really The Big Lebowski, which is one of my favorite films. And he's just always going to be Jesus to me.
He played.
I guess
he played Howard Cosell at one time, among other things.
He's got a very long
list of acting credits.
Well, in the little things I've seen him in here and there, he always strikes me as one of those actors that immerses himself in the role. And our friend John Reagan said that he feels like Matt Reeves is casting this as an indie film, and I tend to agree with that. I have that feeling as well. These are actors, and I love it.
Yes, and I would say I agree with that, even though most of them have been in mainstream,
They have, but
films.
Pattinson himself has been in nothing but really a slew of indie films for many years.
Ever since
up until he's doing a Nolan film right now. That'll be It's a segue.
Well, that's
Right.
kind of. I mean, no one makes his film. He makes his big blockbusters are like indie films. So, um, but I get you. I get what you're saying there. Yeah. Okay. So John Turturro will be playing the gangster Carmine Falcone or Falcone in the Batman, which should start filming early next year. And things are moving quite quickly here. Still haven't gotten any official word on Colin Farrell, which the official word has usually been coming via tweets from Matt Reeves on Twitter. So looking for that. Hopefully, I hope that pans out. I like that casting. I hope it comes to fruition. So
I do as well. But
yeah,
you're right. He's been tweeting out each cast member that Andy Serkis, and he said, "Here's Gordon."
yeah,
Yeah. So and he hasn't done it yet. Is kind of telling.
yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
the ink's not dry quite yet.
Right.
So
It's funny because we're about to talk about this Variety article,
yes,
which is why we're here today.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a good segue. But they reference in this article that was dropped today. They actually say matter of factly that Colin Farrell is the Penguin. A little interesting.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to read too much into that, but it's here.
All I'm
So
saying is that Reeves hasn't tweeted it, even though it was in the same article as in the same articles that said Andy Serkis had been cast as Alfred, and he did tweet out here's Alfred, the picture,
Right.
or a little video of Andy Serkis. Looked like I think he was walking down the red carpet of a film or something like that. But
Yeah, that's what
anyway,
that's
yeah.
what it was. Right.
Okay, all right. So I've told you to kind of guide this next part, or ask you to. I'll say that. So let's go. Hollywood
Yeah,
Report.
so I've
Now
been on
it's
the road.
Variety, right?
Yeah, it's Variety. I've been on the road for 2 hours, and I called you and I said, man, I was on the phone with Ryan Haas, and we were talking about this article that Variety dropped, and I was text messaging some of our guys like Pete and Eric and Ryan, and several things jumped out at me on this article. So if you guys don't know what we're referring to here, Variety has an article out today. Bill and I both have retweeted it. I'm sure you've seen it, by Brent Lang and Justin Kroll. And it says DC Films plots future with Superman, Green Lantern, and rated R movies. Exclusive. So there's a lot of stuff in here that we have talked about and we are aware of and we know. But a few interesting things did jump out. But let me just start at the very top of this article. We'll just kind of, I'm not going to read it, but we'll just walk through it and talk about it as we go. I do want to read this because I think this is a very important line that I will use to tie up the last part of this. Okay, so I'm going to plant the seed for the ending of this this discussion. DC Films appears to have hit its stride, rebounding from the commercial failure of Justice League and the critical drubbing of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, with a few well-timed box office successes, Aquaman and Joker, that both have generated over $1 billion at the global box office. Okay, and not since it's the first time since 2012's Dark Knight Rises with Aquaman that DC finally saw that sort of success. And it sucks because I know we live in a world where these films, whether it's DC, Marvel, Star Wars, what have you, if they don't hit $1 billion, they can be considered failures. I disagree with that. Wonder Woman was not a failure. For that matter, Batman versus Superman wasn't a failure. It made a lot of money. However, that is kind of the world we live in. And when you haven't had $1 billion film since The Dark Knight Rises, and Marvel does it every time they release a film, something is up with that. And maybe it was the quality of the pictures and how they were perceived overall by general audiences.
Just to be fair, not every Marvel release has hit $1 billion.
Well, I say that in a semi.
But they have more $1 billion superhero films.
Right.
Than
Most
Warner
of their
Brothers.
films do. Like Ant-Man 2 probably didn't. I don't even know the numbers on it, but I would guess they didn't. The Spider-Man Far From Home was the first Spider-Man film
I think there are,
to hit $1 billion.
off the top of my head, I think there are 12 films, 12 comic book films that have made $1 billion worldwide. Four of them are Warner Brothers DC characters. Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises, Aquaman, and Joker. The rest are Marvel.
Okay, so again, there's a lot of good stuff in here, but here's a line that is pretty telling. They're on the upswing, said Sean Robbins, chief analyst at boxoffice.com. They had a rocky period, but they're starting to find their footing, and amen to that. But going back to the billion-dollar film, it is telling that, and you're right, not every Marvel film have most, but there's a lot to be said for the Snyder era, and that's a conversation that we could talk about for hours. But it does tie into the larger narrative here, and especially with the way this article ends. But the bottom line is, Bill, things didn't quite work out.
No.
Okay, films underperformed. They were divisive amongst fans. Critics hated them. I'm sorry if you love the movies. You and I love Man of Steel.
I'll say I borderline love it.
It didn't do what it was supposed to do.
No.
And Batman BVS certainly didn't do what it was supposed to do.
No.
And then Justice League obviously did not either. And really, for that matter, neither did Suicide Squad. And we could go on and on and on. So that Wonder Woman kind of saved it all. So we're moving past that. That's where we're at, and things are going well. There's a little chatter in here about a premise of Matt Reeves' Batman, that not as much of the film is going to be set in Arkham as was originally reported. Just a few scenes. Do you have any comments on that? I really just kind of taken that.
That was just a rumor.
Yeah.
That went around. I don't think that was anything concrete, and I want to say that was something that actually started when Ben Affleck was still attached to write and direct it. So I think when I read that, I really didn't know why they included that, but whatever. I don't think. Yeah, I mean the whole thing's it's not gonna be set in Arkham. They're gonna be
right.
There's some Arkham scenes, but it's a Batman movie, so come on.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of talk about Superman. Let's talk about that for a second. So
that's the most interesting part of the article, I thought.
Yeah. So obviously J.J. Abrams signed a big 5-movie deal with Warner Brothers a while back, and his company Bad Robot. They're about to do obviously The Rise of Skywalker, and then it looks like he might be dabbling in the DC Universe. Bill, it looks like it's a high possibility.
I think let me say this before we go there with J.J. Abrams.
This ties into Superman.
A good chunk of that deal is not just film. Bad Robot does a lot of TV stuff,
right?
And a lot of it is going to be various Warner Brothers television projects.
Could be for HBO Max.
HBO Max could be for, network television, whatever.
Sure.
So that it's not all just movies. So let's keep that in mind. It's relative to the situation.
If I love The Rise of Skywalker as much as I hope I'm going to be really on board for JJ doing whatever he wants to do with DC properties. Okay. Yeah. So obviously there was some discussions actually with Bad Robot and Superman, and apparently they met with Michael B. Jordan, Black Panther, Creed, obviously mega superstar, awesome actor, pitching an idea for his vision of Superman, but with his schedule, they couldn't get around to shooting that till 2023. I don't know if that will see the light of day or not. What are your thoughts on that? I saw you tweet something out about.
I would say I think he's mentioned this before, Michael B. Jordan. I don't have the article in front of me, but he did. There is a version of Superman in DC Comics. His name is Calvin Ellis, and he is a black version of Superman. He's not Clark Kent, but he's Superman.
It's like a multiverse thing, right?
Yeah.
And he's president of the United
States.
Yeah.
There's I think, not an expert at this, but he's kind of loosely based on President Obama a little bit.
Okay.
But it's it's a similar background. He did come from Krypton and stuff like that. It's just
it's like a parallel universe,
a different version of Superman.
Doesn't Brainiac work for him or something?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
I mean,
but regardless, that's a way.
Like Chris Clow would be a great person to ask about this, or
you can. Yeah. I think I could text Chris right now for a recipe of meatloaf, and he'd have something to me in 5 seconds. The guy is a walking encyclopedia, man. Yeah. I don't talk about meatloaf. First of all, you're not going to beat mine anyway. It was just a
we have a meatloaf off. How about that?
Yeah, all right.
Off.
All right. So, Bill, here's the deal, man. Okay. If they went down the road with Michael B. Jordan and did a version like that of Superman, I think that would be cool. They have to, I think, do something because, look, there really hasn't been a Superman film that has worked. And when we say work, it hits on all cylinders. Audiences love it. Critics loved it. did well at the box office, right?
Yes,
Has goodwill moving
in
forward.
fact, yes, I was in
Superman
I was in
2.
high school when that happened. Yes,
Superman 2,
yes,
the Richard Lester cut,
yes,
if you will.
yes.
Hashtag.
We don't want to get into the difference between.
No, I'm not. That's
You know
a
what I'm saying, yeah.
that's a conversation for another day. That is a false equivalency to
Yeah.
compare the Snyder Cut stuff with the Donner, like 100%. But moving on from that, so many variables where that's concerned. So Superman on film hasn't quite worked. Superman 3 and 4 are, they are what they are. Superman Returns with Brandon Routh back in 2006. Ambitious movie, Bryan Singer, didn't quite work, man. He never even got a sequel, right? Now, it's cool that he's returning for the
CW crossover.
yeah. Thank you. Right.
Whatever they
And I look, I'm not really into that, but I'm into seeing him reprise the role.
I do
So
want to see that.
they're gonna have me as a viewer that night because I think that's pretty awesome. He looks good in the suit too.
I don't hate Superman Returns. I'll say that again. I don't.
No, I don't either. I don't hate it at all.
I get why people don't like it,
Right.
but
It's not a bad movie, but the bottom
it was nostalgic for me.
But the bottom line, Bill, well, the original sin of that movie is you have a pre-existing Superman that supposedly had been there for 5 or 10 years, and he's been gone for 5 years, and he still looks 22.
Yes.
And Jimmy Olsen hasn't aged. And like the original sin was just the premise was stupid. But and then of course we get Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder's version, and again that also didn't work. If it worked, that film would have done $1 billion or much closer to it, and we would have got a proper Man of Steel sequel, and we probably wouldn't have been in the mess that we were in for so many years.
Warner Brothers felt really, really good about Man of Steel. They expected more than what it made. I mean,
Right.
They were very – the difference – I went to both junkets. I went to Man of Steel. I went to BVS. The difference between Warner Brothers for BVS compared to Man of Steel – 3 years earlier was night and day. I mean, they felt good about. The difference was they felt very good about Man of Steel. We could talk about it on social media. With the other, I mean, it was hush hush, signed non-disclosure agreements, all kind of. I could only bring myself to the screening.
Mm-hmm.
So, at that point I went, "There's something up with this film." So, anyway, just a side note.
Just a side note, and they talk about in this article, they go back to Robbins here and quoting him, their initial mistake, meaning the studio, and this was post Man of Steel, was that they tried to do too much too fast. That they were trying to copy the Marvel model. That's where Dawn of Justice, BVS comes in, but the problem is that Marvel took their time and years of building those characters. You can't just start with a big ensemble movie. You need to earn that. And by earning it means you're not introducing characters via a 7-Eleven surveillance video, right?
Yeah, I mean,
look, seriously, right?
I've said it once. I've said it a million times. It went off the rails when they made BVS instead of a true Superman sequel in Man of Steel 2.
But they did that because of the reaction to Man of Steel, which
Yes.
wasn't positive, no matter how much I like it.
Even Cavill has said here recently in a Men's Health interview. Did you happen to read any of his comments on that?
I've seen quotes taken out of it. I haven't.
He said BVS is a Batman movie. It is.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is.
Okay. It is.
A very weird Batman movie.
Yeah.
Not one I hate like you do, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fan of it either. Okay, so it goes on to talk about. Well, let's say this about. So let's wrap up Superman here real quick though. So the bottom line is this.
I think
where the hell does he fit in? And there maybe Bill and you and I have talked about this off mic. Maybe there's just not an appetite for Superman. I don't like to say that, but
I don't either.
Superman 2 was the last movie that worked.
It concerns me.
It concerns me as well.
We're talking about an appetite for Superman on the big screen. I mean,
because he's working on TV right now.
He's worked on TV, relatively speaking. I mean,
what's the actor that's playing him right now?
God,
he's good. I like him.
Yeah, I
don't know enough about it. Tyler, whatever. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've honestly, I'm not into the CW stuff. So
well, I'm not
either.
So no, I'm not either. But I've seen a couple of episodes. He's good, and maybe that's just where his.
Yeah, I mean, you had Lois and Clark in the '90s, which was a hit show for a while. Smallville ran for 10 years.
Yes, it did.
And then it was a WB, then became the CW. So I mean, it was a huge hit, relatively speaking, but 10 years. I mean, come on. And then of course, just speaking of Mr. Tyler, and I apologize to him for not knowing his last name. Starts with the H. Someone in the comments will say something like, "How do you not know that?" And okay, whatever. But they're going to make another Superman TV series.
Falcone's just Jesus to me. I didn't know.
Superman and Lois is going to be the name of this new one. So
Yeah.
Superman's going back not only just to these guest starring roles on Supergirl and these crossovers and so forth on the CW. They're going to get a CW series.
Right.
And that's kind of telling as well. So
it's kind of telling. Now, that's not to say that a great Superman movie is not just can't be made. Of course it can. But I'm just talking about it hasn't worked for 30 years. And so maybe J.J. Abrams is the right guy if he ends up doing it. I don't know. But bottom line, Bill, I don't think Henry Cavill is returning. I made that prediction.
No, I don't either.
I made that prediction the weekend after
and
Justice League was released.
He wants to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's up to him.
It's not up to him.
I would like for him to return. I don't think he will. I think one of the biggest losses, and I don't want to call it a travesty, but you know what I mean, of the BVS Justice League era is that Cavill as Superman was completely wasted.
It was completely wasted.
Set up perfectly. Whatever issues you have with Man of Steel, they set it up perfectly. Man of Steel could have been a great, pure, traditional, good old Superman movie, and they made BVS.
They made BVS. You mean a sequel? I know. The way Man of Steel ends, that scene with the general, it's so funny and it's so Superman. Yeah. And he flies off, and then we get what we got. Okay, so
it's the Daily Planet thing, Welcome to the planet, It was,
right. So great. Now, and here's the deal. Like, is it him? Or they're like, man, I wish there was a way we could just have him, but we want to erase all this. We want to erase Jimmy Olsen being, assassinated, and we just want to start over.
I think it's that. I think Warner Brothers may have some of the same concerns we do. Is there an appetite for Superman on film right now? And frankly, not to me, not to Rick Shue, not to probably everyone out there watching this, because if you're watching this, you're a fan and you cover this and you are aware of all this stuff. The mainstream is not, but Cavill that Superman is a little bit tainted because of BVS and Justice League.
I would agree with that, because when people see him, that's what they're going to associate it with, and that's just not Superman to them. Now that doesn't mean that he couldn't be salvaged. But there's just all these things they're obviously taking into consideration. That's unfortunate.
People argue, well, what about Gal and Wonder Woman? What about Jason Momoa and Aquaman? Those are exceptions to the rule.
Well, they're not just exceptions to the rule. I've said this before. Aquaman would not have been made if it was made after Justice League. Yeah. So fortunately, we got that film, because I adore that movie.
They lucked out. I mean,
they lucked out. They lucked out with that. So all right. So moving on from that, bottom line, recapping that, we don't know. Superman's in limbo. I would not hold my breath that Cavill is returning. I wouldn't hold my breath for another film for some time, possibly 2023, 2024. Okay. They talk a little bit about Green Lantern, and they talk to obviously it looks like JJ's been in the middle of some of those conversations. That remains to be seen what happens with that.
As an HBO Max series, correct?
Yeah. No. Yeah, I guess they are actually. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. No. Yeah, they are. That's the sort of television show. The speculation of the relationship could lead to his involvement in a feature film, so it could lead to something. But regardless, I found the stuff with Flash a little bit more interesting than Green Lantern, perhaps because I'm a little bit more invested in that character. I'm not really a Green Lantern fan, although I'd love to see something work for it. But seeing Ezra Miller's name still attached was kind of interesting. I'm
not a fan of that take on the Flash.
Well, I'm not.
To be honest,
I'm indifferent about it. I think he's a likable actor. I just
nothing against Ezra Miller. I just
don't know. I just don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see.
I've said for years I am not going to hold my breath for a live action Flash movie.
Nope.
Though I think there's some interesting stuff you could do with it.
Yeah, Yeah, I think yeah, right. I just don't know. And it's odd that his name's still attached to it, which
Yeah.
I don't know if that's telling or not, or it's
And
just
of
because
course,
there's no one to fill
and
that void. I don't know.
the Flash TV series is still going strong on the CW too. So
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
yeah.
And then obviously the article talks about HBO Max, which man, we're just going to streaming, dude. That's just where all this is going, right? We got Netflix now, we got Disney Plus, which is awesome. Mandalorian's awesome, and now we're gonna have HBO Max and talks about that, and so there could be some really great things on HBO Max, Bill. But one thing that I don't want to talk too much about this because it just makes my head spin, and it's a divisive topic. But it says on here that the release the Snyder Cut movement, it is not going to be on HBO Max, and one insider called it a pipe dream that is never going to happen. So whether or not never is going to happen, I'll never say never. But going back full circle to the top of this conversation between you and I today.
Yeah, let me say real quick before you move on. And
Well, I'm not moving on.
Okay, I just want to. Okay, I want to go on the record. Personally, I couldn't care less if the Snyder Cut is released or not. I don't think it will be for a variety of reasons. It's pointed out. There's a great CNBC article about it that dropped here a few days ago that kind of sums it up perfectly. It's just the bottom line is, Rick, and you can expound upon this if you want to. It makes no business sense for Warner Brothers to do that. For them to put any money into this to finish it.
Right. That's what I said. It's not, people say release it, but you have to finish it first. And don't tell me that it's finished. It's not finished. Zack Snyder himself has told us it's not finished. He's putting stuff up pretty much every damn day these days, which is a conversation for another day. But he's put up photos saying, I never got a chance to finish this scene, but this is what I wanted to do with it or whatever. It's not finished. So they'd have to spend a lot of money to get it finished. Yeah. So they're not, I don't see why they would do that. Right. And so it comes back full circle. It's not what people don't understand. And look, if you're a Goodwill fan and you support the movement, whatever, cool. As long as you're not an asshole online, and live and let live. And maybe one day you'll get some deleted scenes or see some kind of version of it. But what I would just say is you have to go back to Man of Steel. That's kind of where this all starts. There is no goodwill with Zack Snyder in the studio and mainstream audiences. He has really passionate fans, yes, but it's you guys. You guys are.
You're not. It's not. You're not saying personally against Zack Snyder is
no
a person. No, that's,
no, or his movies. I'm talking about like just the reality of how this all unfolded. Man of Steel underperformed, divisive. Critics hated it. Split fans.
And also,
BVS underperformed, divisive. Critics hated.
The general audience doesn't know anything about the drama. They don't know about the hashtag movement. They probably don't even know Zack Snyder directed those two films.
So, but you have to look at it and say, all those films that he made underperformed, didn't make money, et cetera, and to reinvest in that just doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of weird PR stuff that would come along with that is uncomfortable to talk about and think about. And in addition to that, you're gearing up to promote these new films and a rebooted Batman, and it just makes
just a lot of.
It just doesn't make any. Look, you can talk about hashtags and retweets and trending on Twitter all day long. That's fine. That doesn't translate necessarily to real life, right? We're in a subculture within like a subculture within a subculture. You know what I mean? Like fandom, DC fandom on Twitter, right? It's guys. We get in our echo chamber sometime, and it's fun. And I love this culture or subculture that we're all in, whatever you want to call it. But look, I go to these movies once a month or so, or a couple of months with these dads in my neighborhood. We all go camping together with our daughters. They're all kids are my age and everything. These guys are really into these movies of anything that's superhero, Star Wars, science fiction. And we all went to see Joker last week. And we all have a drink afterwards. There's like 6 of us. And we're sitting around after the movie. And one of the dads says, "Hey, man, Rick, clarification real fast. So the the Birds of Prey, which the trailer was attached to that. So that Joker was like the Jared Leto Joker. I go, yeah, that's who they're referencing there. And he goes, but it's not tied into what we just saw at all. I go, no, not at all. I go, just think of it like Adam West Batman TV show and Michael Keaton's deal. Same character, different universe. Okay, cool, got it. And then there was a Knives Out spot, and I was like, I said something like, yeah, I'm excited to see that. Same guy that wrote and directed Last Jedi. And somebody's like, Last Jedi, was that Star Wars movie where Ray trains Luke or Luke trains Ray or whatever? Yeah, I go, oh, that movie was awesome. Who was that guy again? I go, Rian Johnson's like, who was that? I go, the writer and director. They're like, oh, I thought it was a guy like JJ. I go, JJ did the 7. He's doing. My point to all this is like that's that right there. That conversation, that's real moviegoers. That's 98% of people that go support these films. They don't care about hashtags. They don't, quite frankly, don't care who's directing what. They don't know and they don't care. All they go.
I mean, there's very few directors. They films.
They just go to get their popcorn and kick back and watch movies. They just don't keep up with the shit. And that is who would have to have an appetite for this to make sense. Those guys, people like those guys, and they just don't care. They've moved on. And so anyway,
yeah. Look, if you're a good dude or dudette, man or woman, boy or girl, and you're passionate, you want to see the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and you campaign for it in a respectable manner. Hey, I understand. I'm with you. I mean, I started Batman on Film to campaign for good Batman movies. I get it.
Sure.
I didn't start it to campaign for another cut of a film, but whatever. I get you. I'm with you. I am just speaking in the reality of the situation. That's it.
Right.
It's nothing personal for anyone involved in that project at all. I'm just saying to you, it probably ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen anytime soon. And here's why. And it's not shitting on that group of individuals who are campaigning for it. It's not trying to disrespect the people who worked on that film. I'm with you. I'm sure they want to have their vision put out. But the reality of it, when you get into the business side of it, it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't. If Man of Steel and B versus S worked, right? And then the same scenario presented itself, it would make more sense. Then you are looking more like a Richard Donner cut kind of situation, right? Off the heels of a beloved film, beloved franchise, Goodwill, Academy Award winning. It doesn't have to be that. I'm just painting a picture.
There's a lot of drama behind.
Like those
Superman
first two
2.
movies.
Yeah.
Those films were divisive, and critics hated them, and they underperformed.
Yes.
So they're not going back to that. And
yeah, I mean there was drama. Real quick, there was drama with the Salkinds and Richard Donner. He was fired. Richard Lester was brought in, reshot a shitload of the movie, reshot scenes that had been filmed by Donner just so they could insert them in the movie.
And they're better.
He got the credit as director. I mean, he did. It's two different. Okay, we're not going to get off on that.
No, but that's about it. So that's it. It just doesn't make any sense from any way you look at it. So that's the gist of the article. So my biggest takeaways for me personally are that it looks like it's confirmed that they have definitely talked to J.J. Abrams about a Superman film, one of which may or may not.
Okay, that's cool. I like
that. Yeah, super cool. That may or may not have a black Superman played by Michael B. Jordan. I could be completely okay with that. And it talks about HBO Max, and I guess really, Bill, the biggest takeaway for me on this really was the Superman stuff. Right. I mean, truly, and just the article does a really good job at framing the current state of affairs, where they're at, and they're moving forward.
And also it's true. It talks about they found their footing or whatever.
Right.
What they term that, but that's true. I mean, they moved away from the shared universe stuff. Not everything doesn't have to connect. They're focusing on making good DC movies. And hey, the article does mention, Rick, that there is an audience who wants R-rated comic book films.
Right.
And Warner Brothers may be going to supply that for those folks. You have Joker. It looks like Birds of Prey is going to be R-rated. The Suicide Squad, James Gunn, next 2021, after the Batman comes out. supposed to be R-rated as well. Hey, fine. I mean, look, do it. They don't have to be.
Hey, listen, man. If it's good, I don't care what it's rated. Right? Just make a damn good movie.
Yeah,
and
I mean, look, PG-13, R.
Whatever.
Okay.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Is it good?
If it's good, people will go watch it. That's the bottom line.
All I can say is whatever you do, own it. Like the Joker owned that rated R.
Was Joker dark? Was that a dark film?
Yeah, it's a dark film.
Was it a feel-good film?
No.
Okay.
It was like watching Requiem for a Dream feel-good film.
And made $1 billion. Why did it make $1 billion?
Because, well, first of all, it's riding on the popularity of the greatest villain of all time and the greatest fictional character of all time.
Exactly.
But it made $1 billion because it was good.
That was the number one reason. Okay.
It was good. It was just a good film. And man, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something. Oh, but I was going to say, whatever you are, own it. Because as much as I like Shazam better now, rewatching it and stuff, it's come around, but it's still an unbalanced film, right? Like that scene should have been a rated R movie.
That should have been straight up PG.
It should have been straight up PG, and it should have been like the parts that are fun and up. That should have just been practically the whole damn movie. But neither here or there. I'm just saying, but own it, right? Own whatever. Nolan owned the vibe of every one of his Batman films. He owned those. To give Snyder credit, Snyder owns his films, better, worse, whatever. But hey, he owns it. So that's all. Own it, whatever it is. Okay, let's wrap this up.
I think DC on film is headed the right direction.
Look, Wonder Woman 84
heading in the right direction.
Wonder Woman 84, Birds of Prey, The Batman, Aquaman 2, the Aquaman spinoff, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not. It does reference
the Trench is what it's.
Yeah, they do reference that in here that they're looking for a director, but a lot of really exciting stuff on the horizon. But nothing is more exciting. And remember this hashtag, the Rise of Skywalker. I'm kidding. Remember this hashtag. The Batman is coming. You should put that on the screen, Bill.
I will.
Hashtag.
Don't you see it there now?
It's there right now.
You know all those graphics just automatically pop up as we speak.
The Batman is coming.
I've got that artificial intelligence built into this recording this vlog, and it just whatever we say, it just pops up whenever.
The Batman is coming.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's get out of here.
The Batman's coming. All right, anything to plug?
Just follow me on Twitter at ShewRick, SHEWRICK. Continue to support the site. Ryan's doing a great job with the podcast. We're doing the vlogs. That's right. You and Ryan talked about the. What did you guys talk about? Joker 2. Joker sequels. So check that out.
Yeah.
There you go. And I've talked to Ryan. We've got some stuff on the horizon. I'm going to jump on a couple of podcasts. We'll definitely do a Star Wars spinoff thing because that's in a few weeks. We'll do a satellite show on that, and I still want to get around doing some of those other satellite shows too, man. We got a Back to the Future show we just haven't gotten around to doing. But
you've been talking for that about.
I know. I've referenced that we've actually had it set up a few times, and then just something fell apart on schedule, and then we just never went back to it. Something else would pop up. Wonder Woman 84. I think that trailer is dropping soon. There's a teaser coming soon.
Yes. It's a Comic-Con in Brazil.
Yeah.
Is having a panel for that, and that's when they're going to release the trailer. So that's coming soon. That'll
be fun.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that and to the Bill and Ted 3 trailers coming soon too.
Are we going to be doing a watch party for Wonder Woman 84?
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking me if we're going to do it.
Yeah. I think we should do one back.
Yeah, I'll be in transition at that time. I mean, transition logistically.
Cool. All right, let's go.
All right. At Batman on Film, authoritative definitive, Rick.
The Dadgum. Where you at? The Dadgum original.
Hashtag the Batman's coming.
The Batman is coming.